So this person is a wealth of knowledge. He's been in this, I want to call it an industry, he's been around the block quite a few times. When you really understand who he is and what his background and past is, poof, mind freaking blown. I know, we're all waiting it, and it's tick-tock, 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 and I'm waiting for a certain cue, so I'm just going to keep blabbing. Blah, 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 blah. So here's what's exciting, though. So I'm waiting for a certain thing to happen. What? Oh, is that the car from the movie? Oh, shucksy daisy, look at that. What? Oh, so they're showing a movie. I wonder if they're playing from the movie. What is this? This is outside? What? Oh, stop it. Well, look at that. What kind of car is that? Is that a Fawawi? Not a Fawawi. It's an Aston Martin. Very nice. Is that a DB9 or DB11? Oh, what is that music? What do we hear now? What? Oh, we got boots in the house? What is this? Get up here! Cheers, everybody! Welcome to the stage! The one and only Mr. Juan O, Savin. Come on, come on, come on, come on! Yeah, 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 yeah! Come on, let's hear it, you guys. We got the one and only here. It's not just boots. How you doing? It's not just boots. We got the real man in person. Let's hear it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, super. Yeah. How you doing, folks? Got my Trump water here. It's a little dehydrated here in Vegas. Oh, it's beautiful. Anybody think they know what's under here? Thank you. I hear you guys have had a great show so far and a lot of great folks here. And how many of you have watched the movie The Call that I did with Jennifer Matt? We got a couple stars here from the show. I think, is Bonnie in here somewhere? There she is. There's Bonnie. She's in the movie. Victor, you around anywhere? He hiding? Victor Avila? No, he's somewhere. He's probably around here somewhere. He's in the movie. And somewhere hiding in the audience is the fantastic producer, editor, Jennifer Mack. Why don't you guys give her a big hand? She's somewhere in here. You know, I've been thinking about where we're at as a country, and I'm sure all of you have heard the same thing I have. It's the end of the world. We're not going to make it. It's all talk and hopium and everything else. But you've heard the speakers here today. What do you guys think? You think things are coming to a head? Nothing can stop what's coming. This is the moment, just an instant before we see the beginning of justice being served in America. I know a lot of people think that it's not going to happen. There's a reason why when John and Amy were having this show and it was being pushed so hard against at the last second before it would come on, and I said, gosh, the timing is so critical. And this is the moment. It's not about, they're having a much smaller show, you're a tighter get-together than was originally planned. But you know what I know? You guys are the called. You answered the call to be here. You kept the faith. You haven't given up. You weren't afraid to be associated with the 17th letter of the alphabet. why there's so much pressure against it. Because they know we're coming. It's almost here. You can feel it in the night and the daytime. We're so close right now. Justice means a lot of different things in different places. Oh my gosh, almost killed me. Justice is falling right now. You know, so I can get that on there so we don't lose it. In the very beginning of time. Do we lose it there? We got it? Okay. You tell me that I got it there. For technicians. The microphone's fired. Oh, there we go. All right, let's see if we got it. There we go, got it. All right, super, thanks folks. Good thing we had experts out here know what they're looking at. So think about this. At the very beginning of time, God himself was justified to kick Satan out of heaven. Think about it for a second. Why did Satan believe that he should be as God? He was beautiful. His whole body was an instrument, made music. He was so magnificent in his splendor that he thought just looks and sound were enough substance to warrant that he would be as good as God. And all of heaven should worship him just like they worshiped God himself. The creation, that which was created, wanted to be worshipped like the Creator. He felt justified to be raised up that way. But God, in his justice, cast him out of heaven and a third of heaven with him. With that same angst and hate towards God in heaven, Satan, Lucifer, whispered in the ear of Cain and had Cain convinced that because Abel made this sacrifice to God that was a lamb, and Cain made this sacrifice of the work that he'd done, the fruit of the field, and God rejected Cain's and he accepted Abel's, that Cain was so upset he killed his brother. What was the deal? Cain didn't understand that there was symbology associated with that sacrifice. And it wasn't just the work of his hands, the work in the field, the things that he did that he was offering to God. Oh God, look how I've done this for you. I've created this for you. That wasn't the point of the sacrifice. The sacrifice was to show that sin, this original sin, this collusion with the devil, that God was going to make a way someday to reconcile that, and that the sacrificial lamb was just a symbology of something to come. Cain just didn't want to do that. He didn't get the symbology. He wanted to create his own symbology. He was listening to Satan, Lucifer, the devil, in his ear. So when God accepted Abel's sacrifice because he followed the instructions and he rejected Cain's, Cain felt that it was okay to kill his brother, that he was justified to kill his brother. He thought he was delivering some kind of justice to his brother. Justice is relative. You know, you have tribal justice. One tribe wants to kill another tribe for some reason. They're encroaching on their land. You have Old West justice, where somebody rustled cattle or something, and people believed it, thought it was true. If it was or wasn't, who knows? And you could hang somebody. But the justice out in the prairie, if somebody was a horse rustler, stole somebody's horse, you might kill them. If they didn't have their horse to get around, that could be result in death. If it's said in the scriptures that if you steal his millstone, the way that he grinds his food, makes his food, that the penalty was death because you were essentially killing him. He couldn't make food for his family. And it was a slow death, and so the penalty was death. Same thing with the horse rustler. In a city, though, maybe he'll wrestle the horse, but it didn't kill anybody. It just was a big inconvenience. So city justice sometimes was different than prairie justice. Justice throughout time has been kind of relative. Here in our era, today, we seem to be losing a sense of justice in America. The question is, who's going to be just? Who's going to be valiant for justice' sake? That's a scripture. What's at stake? Right now, the country is at stake. Somebody felt justified to go through all sorts of frauds and machinations, to cook and twist in every way possible the vote of the American people, because the American people might not make the right decision for the world, for the globalists, for the people that want to run the world. And so you might not go along with depopulating the world, which is their plan, down to 500,000. That's the Georgia Guidestones, 500 million, excuse me. You might not go along with the process they have in mind to depopulate the world. Why? Because they want to do it by freezing you out, cutting off the fuel to you, starving you out, cutting off the food supply, GMO food that screws up your system, medical care that isn't actually care to keep you, it's care to get rid of you. Everywhere you look in society, we're being set up for the big kill. All those people that have been planning this have been doing so not just for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, not even for 20, 30 years. This goes all the way back to the time of the garden. Cain wanted to kill Abel because Satan, his father, was whispering in his ear. He wanted to kill Abel because he was the only direct descendant to Adam. And what was the deal about Adam? Adam was given the earth and all that was in it, and God didn't put any conditions on it at all. How many of you heard people say, why does God allow all this evil in the world? Why does God allow sickness and decay and murder? Why does he do that? A loving, just God wouldn't do such a thing. God gave the earth and all that is in it to us. Adam and his seed inherited the earth. We're the ones that got the earth. If there's sin, if there's evil, if there's decay, if there's injustice, if there's murder, we're the ones that are directed to go fix it, address it, engage it. When Moses got to the Red Sea, and some of you heard the presentation I did the other day over at Flyover Patriots, and then before that with Roseanne Barr. Moses himself got his attention, his direction thrown off. The people were whining and fussing. Moses, Moses, why did you bring us out here to murder us all? Wasn't there enough graves in Egypt? But you had to bring us out here to have us all killed? God is the one that brought the Israelites out to the Red Sea, not Moses. He brought them there, and they all knew where they were supposed to be going, the promised land where Abraham had sojourned. The problem was they got so fixated on the Egyptians chasing them down, they were looking the wrong direction. They weren't looking to the promised land. They were looking behind them. I'd like my hot rods. I have fast cars. Kind of a fun saying that's out there amongst racers: if it's in my rearview mirror, it doesn't matter, okay? If you have the fastest car, if you think you do. So, where are you guys looking? You watching the rearview mirror, or you looking at the future? This moment isn't aimed at us. You're the true believers. You're here. You understand the messaging that has gone out over this last several years. It's all the people around us that haven't quite figured it out yet, and that are coming of age this second. They're seeing the crises all around the world building up like a huge wall of water to either side. We're in this Red Sea moment. We're looking forward. We're going to the promised land. We understand we have to make a better world for our kids. We have to make a better world for our neighbors. Not our neighbor's keeper, not our brother's keeper, our brother's brother. But not everybody around us in our families, the people we work with, people that are neighbors, have fully gotten that yet. And so they're experiencing this near-death experience from a different perspective. Even some of the good guys around us haven't quite figured this out yet. And so they're frantic. The country is lost. It's all done. We're history. It's all going to be over any second. And that's just not true. What's actually happening is they're all beginning to wake up, and you know it. You can hear it right now. Doesn't matter where I'm at. People are talking about standing up, making a stand. They're done. They're not going to take it anymore. They're not going to be part of this shutdown of the world anymore. They're giving up. You have isolated pockets like here in Vegas, parts of LA, some other parts of the country where, yeah, you still got to wear the mask like it makes any difference. They want you to get that killer shot, that clot shot for sure. You just got to get it. They'll pay you. They'll entice you. They'll let you work. But the reality is people all over the world are getting ready to shut it all down. Not on their timing, on our timing. You want to shut it down? We'll shut it down. It's been a year on 11/3 since this madness was locked in. But we're the group that's not looking backwards. And we have to lead the way. When they went into the Red Sea, Roseanne talks about the fact that in the Jewish culture, one of the sayings is that the sea didn't start to part until they were up to their noses. And that's the people who were backed into the sea. But think about this. A lot of people were facing the chariots, and they're backing up, and it's a huge crowd, 2.5 million behind them. You ever seen these rock concerts or something where all the people start pressing, and then you can't get out of the way? It's just a wall of people. So the people at the back, which might be us, are backed up into the sea, and yes, we're up to our noses in this. But what we're also seeing, because we're facing the water, we're looking to the promised land, we're not looking back, is all of a sudden the water's going to recede in front of us and it's going to start to divide, and we're going through this thing. These events aren't aimed at us. Just like the Red Sea, God wasn't going to wipe out his people. It looked to Pharaoh like they were going to drive him in the sea and drown them. They wouldn't even have to go kill anybody. They'd just push them into the sea. They'd push themselves into the sea, backing up from the threat. They ran harder. They drowned their own. What they didn't understand is the hand of God was right there to move the waters back, begin to pile it up. You've got people like Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Coach Dave, Ohio Brett, out there with the Christian Revolution. What Coach Dave is talking about, he says, we know where all the money's come from Soros and that crowd. We know where all the extra efforts coming from with the Facebook crowd and all these other ones trying to cook the way our world works, twist the conversations, force us down a certain road. It's okay to have to get the shot 5 times, 10 times, whatever. You got to do it, even if it kills you. But the reality is, those people are pushing back against it. They have a plan. If you put 1 million Christians in the room and they all give $100 each, not everybody can do it, but I guarantee you there's 1 million Christians out there that can and are, and they're financing the lawsuits to stop the bullshit with sports figures, doctors, police officers all around the country. They're making a huge effort to travel in the whole country. And they're making an impact. That first Zoom call we did had almost 1 million hits so far. An edited version has about 70 or 80,000 that Jennifer Maddock made the other day. People are getting the message. Even sports stars are backing off and saying, I'm not getting it. Pilots, police officers, firemen, they're going to shut it all down. They're just not going to participate. Those people that do get it, come back and talk to us in 6 months or a year. Who's going to still be able to work, even if you didn't give us a job then? CEOs, college presidents, other sports figures, teachers, chiefs of police, somewhere down the road are going to have to apologize for ever having forced, by any mandate or under threat of losing your job, anybody to take this clot shot. People are standing up saying no. I've said several times, the number that's needed in society here to keep us from going to civil war is 80+% consensus. It doesn't have to be all Trump supporters. But we as a society have to be in agreement. When Satan said that he should be served and looked at on a par with God, he was trying to cause revolution in heaven, a split, a divide. Our country's been close to divide before. We had a civil war over issues. And brothers took up arms against brothers. It was a pretty even split. Throughout the history of the world, it's been about civil war, revolution, brothers taking up arms against brothers. In World War II, the Nazis had the Heil Hitler hand out salute. A little known detail is the Satanist Crowley, who was in England, he was consulted by Churchill because he knew that the salute had symbology, and the symbology was this domination over the people. That's what that salute was. Dominating, enslaving, controlling the people. What did Crowley, the Satanist, tell Churchill? He said, the way you defeat the strength of that unified hand salute is you come at it with the peace signal, this victory signal, Why? Because it's two, it splits, and it divides them. The devil, even in his own crew, know that dividing, splitting groups, divide and conquer, it's the British way. That's what's being used against us. If we get to 80+% consensus, we're not getting the shot, we're not going to accept lies as truth about a vote and look the other way and wait till 2024 or forever to get justice served back up again. We're not going to be divided in that way. We're coming together on multiple issues at this Red Sea moment. Right now, people are talking, I've been talking for several weeks, you've got 500,000 people coming in through Mexico, headed for the border. Yesterday, a bunch of them broke through a National Guard group there in Mexico and just charged them heading for the US border. Last week, Saturday, 6 days ago, and Victor and I were together Saturday and a bunch of other folks. We flew down to the Mexican border and talked with Sheriff Co and others there in Kinney County and a bunch of the people covering the border about the situation. You know, on the border right now there in Kinney County, it's not unusual, they get about 8 to 10 bodies a day. The county only has 3,200 citizens in it. They got about 300 officers there, but they're federal officers, FBI, state troopers, etc. The county only has 8 police officers, I think, total. So they haven't got enough with themselves. How just is it for those people that are dying? If they're gonna bring that many people up here, what's happening? They're getting baited up here to come to America. They're getting sold a story, and so they come up here with hope and dreams, and then they get turned into slaves here in America. Because the cell phones that they're given, they have to report in, they have to give a bunch of their wages back to the people that brought them up here, and if they don't, they know who all their relatives are back home. Honduras, Haiti, places in Africa, how do they get here? Chile, Argentina, all these other places. They come up here, and if they don't pay the VIG back to the cartels every month for years to come, if they don't prostitute their kids, a relative back home, grandma gets her head chopped off. It's horror. And so when we don't enforce the border up here, it makes it easier for these guys to sell the dream that they can get them in here somehow. They were doing the same thing out there in Africa, baiting people into Syria. They were posting stuff all over the Mideast saying that if they got to Europe, they were gonna get all these jobs. Soros and his crew were running it. They were running the ads through places here in Silicon Valley, getting people to come somehow to get into Europe and flood Europe. What were they doing? Drilling holes in the foundation of their society, undermining the tax structure, undermining their social structure, undermining their employment structure. These same globalists are doing that with us here. It's not just kill us with the shots, kill us with people that the people themselves are in desperate, dire situations. They're dying by the thousands weekly to get here. Dying. They're suffering horrible horrors. The young girls, I was talking with some doctors the other day that treated kids that were brought in. Young girl, 13 years old, has a patch to keep her from getting pregnant. Went and got the shot before that, 13, but the parents wanted her to come up here, and so, but they knew she was gonna get raped over and over again. Her brother, because he tried to stop them from raping her too many times, too quickly, too often, tried to stop him. They took a machete and were spanking him with the machete, left marks all over his legs.
It's gruesome, it's dire. The people coming up here aren't the worst people in the world. They're victims themselves. But by making it look like an opportunity exists, not enforcing that border, they're being used like a weapon against us. Children always fight the wars. And they're being brought in to undermine our society, to divide us. This is all about dividing us. Even the fight back to January 6th, that was about getting people egged on from our type of groups to get sucked in to participating in this insurrection against the country, occupying Congress so they can't do a vote. It's just a brick and mortar building. If they'd actually occupied it, Congress would have gone to one of their hidey holes somewhere and they'd have still done the vote. You weren't going to stop anything. What we were there to do, and you have to understand what President Trump was thinking. You know that dome on top of the Capitol? The domes on all these buildings? Most people don't know this. The symbology. The symbology is, it's like a megaphone. When you broadcast, you start at the little part and you broadcast out, it's a big trumpet. In this case, when the people gather, they focus their energies like a megaphone on the Congress, and the Congress has to hear them. The White House has to hear them. Our government has to hear them. That's the symbology of that dome. It's a megaphone to our leaders to listen to what the people have to say. We had 1 million people out there. They weren't listening. And then they had some provocateurs, agent provocateurs, false flag people in there, including from federal agencies, trying to egg you guys on to go in there and occupy it. Make a big thing. And what was going to happen if you did occupy it? The policing wouldn't be enough. So the military would have to be brought in. And they'd have a huge spectacle. Some people got upset the other day and they said, well, Trump should never have asked people to come to that thing. Why did he ask him to come to Washington, D.C.? Well, it would have worked the other way. Because if only a few people had shown up, they'd have been able to pull off the scam probably. But so many people showed up. So many, I saw them. It's in the movie The Call. Christians in prayer. That was the prayingest group of 1 million people I've ever seen in my whole life. Seriously. And they were the beginning of the Christian Revolution, as Coach Dave and Dr. Sherry Tenpenny and Ohio Brett talk about. They were the beginning of the Christian Revolution. They came to be heard. They didn't come to divide the country. They didn't come to do violence. Okay? They didn't come to start civil war. Why didn't President Trump? Why didn't he sign the Insurrection Act on December 18th when his friends came in and gave him all the good advice? Because he was getting intel that they were not aware of for weeks in the presidential daily brief, telling him that there was a setup and they were going to try and make it look like you guys and others like you were Civil War people, wanted to start a war, go home and get your guns out, just waiting to kill somebody, just waiting to shoot it up, misportraying us. President Trump didn't feed us into that. He had everybody show up in prayer, thanksgiving, singing songs, and they said, go in peace. And he didn't start until well after his scheduled start time. They were on a schedule, and he sneaked them. And they went with what they did while he's still talking. Okay? We all saw it. Now even the FBI is having to back off on all these allegations. Badged DEA agent. And they go after him like because he's carrying a gun. He's got text evidence. He's got phone calls. He's got witnesses saying he offered to assist. The guy that's with him is on the payroll of some three-letter agency trying to egg him into something. It's insane. You're being scammed, played. But all of those scams are starting to come to an end. It took this long to let them play out, fire all their ammo, expending all ammo, trying to make us look like the evil people that they're trying to project us as being. The reality is, I know this crowd. You're a praying crowd. God brought us to the edge of the Red Sea, and we're up to our noses, and you're the ones that are up to your noses in it, and we're going through. We are only a very short time now from the tipping point. And right up to the tipping point, when a tide's moving, it might get down to that shallow spot where it just looks like it's, stopped. But it really hasn't stopped. It's in that flip, reversal moment. Esther talks, about the flip all through the book of Esther. That's the whole point of the book of Esther, 17th book of the Bible. We've talked about it numerous times. The boomerang, and it's coming back. What people are complaining to you guys about? Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Yeah, nothing happened in Arizona. Well, all we did was make sure that how they counted it, we understand. Now, we look at what votes didn't even count in the first place, but they were counted, and we scraped those off, and we started doing it. 9 different categories of questionable stuff, every one of them enough to flip the vote. They say nothing's happening. You have firemen, police officers, pilots, military. I sent a video out the other day, 4.5 hours of just service members being asked if they're getting the shot. 4.5 hours, all different ranks. You know what they said? Are you kidding me? No way. Nothing's happening. Lots happening. A lot of people have woken up and they're saying no. They're standing up. We're all standing up. We're going to say no. We can shut this whole thing down without firing a shot. Not on their schedule, our schedule. We'll push the big red button. We'll shut it down. It's happening right now. You say nothing's happening? Do you see what's going on out in the China Sea with Taiwan? Racing jets coming in, waves of them, 50, 60 jets at a time, full speed, as though they're about to go bomb it. You know how they treat prisoners in a lot of these locations when they're trying to terrorize them? They take them out every day, a couple times a day, and act like they're going to execute them, put the gun to their head, fire it, and it's a blank. That's what China's doing, terrorizing those people. That's something that's happening. And they might one of these times go all the way, and we'd be in it in a hot second. You have a lot of situations like that going on around the country. The other day, Southwest Airlines couldn't get aircraft up in the air because they had a bunch of pilots and the crews that said we're not going to get the shot, and they had to do juggling. You had air traffic controllers that did it, put their lives and their careers on the line. We had numerous places where doctors said, well, I guess I'm done then. I'm not going to be part of this. Stuff's happening every day. How many times can people decide that they're going to be one shut it down before the country has reached that tipping point and it won't function anymore? Pretty close. Red October. I've said it before, but it bears repeating.
Yeah.
Do you know what that message is right here? That's the language of semaphore. Nobody's telling us what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Nobody's helping us. I'm so lost. Come on, man. Our signals are being listened to. And you're being shut down in the normal places that you converse. You know what they did in World War II so that their communications couldn't be snuck in on? Code talkers.
That's right.
Hello. Wake up. Well, I don't know of anything. There's all these 5,000 messages. I don't know what they mean. Come on, man. Think about it. Well, it's somebody in their grandma's basement. The coordination down to the second. Do you know that numbers mean things, different codes and combinations of numbers to the second? And so I have my internet company, 107daily.com, which, by the way, just came out of the beta, and we're actually going into our full release mode now. But when you try to post things, even inside your own server system, and get it right down to the second, it can be pretty tough. I mean, you got to really have it. You got programming, you got to get all in there. That's not the kind of stuff that you do in grandma's basement. That's supercomputer stuff. And then you also have to go back and look that it's like the scriptures in the Bible. Certain numbers mean things. So for us, 5 is the number of grace. For our enemies, 5 is the number of death to enemies. And defense, thank you. Okay? So that's why the Pentagon has 5 sides. It has a cult meaning. It's a little secret thing. All those numbers in those drops are significant. Even the timestamps oftentimes have significance. Sometimes they have to be coordinated together with various things because they have very deep messages. People will be reading into that for a very long time, trying to go back retroactively and see where it was giving us a forward understanding of what was to come, what the future is. America needed this Red Sea moment. God, for the nation of Israel, needed them to have this Red Sea moment. It was part of the baiting the other guys into chasing them into the sea where they died. They thought that they had made a mistake and weren't going to the shallower part of the sea further up in the Reed Sea. And so when they saw him turn and come back, they said, oh, now we got him. We have him. When they said, we got it on the election, and people started to back down and say, yeah, we're going to try harder 2022 and 2024. Okay, darn. Stole the football out from under me again. Seriously? Fuck no! In the language of semaphore, sequences of flags mean something. And oftentimes you'll have a pause flag and then you know the next message is a new message. So you might have multiple messages given out and then a pause one, pulled down, put up new ones, or in a series. There's all sorts of little tricks. And just like in the language of numbers, there is different languages. So you kind of have to learn which one you're in. In this case, when Melania left the White House in her black dress, pause, it's all done. But some of us knew that wasn't the last one. Because when they arrived in Florida, the president and the first lady, he was still president of the United States acting. He hadn't ever conceded. Still hasn't conceded, thank you, brother. But because of the problems in communication, our enemies are pretty sophisticated, and they're a lot bigger than most people think. It's not just the vote. It's not just the shot. It's not just the military situation over in the Red Sea. It's not just the immigrants coming in from all over the world, being shipped on aircraft to Mexico, shipped on boats from Haiti, put on trains from all over South America, given backpacks and shoes and baited into it to come drill holes in the foundation of our country. It's not even stopping us from talking about our Constitution and justice in America, shutting us down in our social media, taking away our voice in the normal channels and raising theirs louder, shutting us down on January 6th, twisting what's said about us and what we have said, what we've done. We're being hit on every front you can get hit on. When Job was under attack from Satan, the devil, because he got permission from God to test him. When Job was under attack, it was said that the messenger came with the first disaster to tell Job about it. Oh my gosh. An enemy has come and stolen all of your cattle and sheep and everything's gone. Then, while that messenger was still talking, the next messenger came with all sorts of doom and gloom. And while he was still talking, and Job's, oh my gosh, the last messenger comes. He's lost his wealth, and then he's lost his family. They killed all of his kids. When we think about the situation we're in as a country, it's that kind of a trying moment. It's just like in Esther. We're being tried. It looks dire. It looks like the end. We're at this Red Sea moment. People say, well, if nothing happens now, then it's over. You're all wrong. It's not a Red Sea moment. Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't see anything in the stock market happen this week. I'll tell you a little hint, because I talk with the right people, because I have a history. Do you know that they're moving so much money through, of all places, Hong Kong this last week? It dwarfs numbers that we've classically ever seen. Why? They're money laundering. Why? Because they know we're coming. They're getting ready. They're trying to hide their money. The rats are running for their hidey holes. They got to launder the money so that it goes into Hong Kong, and there's no record when it comes back out where it's going to, so we can't track it because we won't get those records. We don't know whose money that was now. We've lost it all. Watch. We're going to go clip all their asses. All that money the Chinese spent buying property here in America next to our military bases, choking off supply locations in the canal and other places around the world. We're going to go sue their ass for all the money that they've cost us on this thing. And we're going to kick them in the ass for all the people that have died from this. And we're not going to stop there because you know what? It's not the Chinese people. It's not even the Chinese government. Somebody's running them. Globalists. We're in a war for everything worth living for. The devil himself wants us dead. He wants us as dead as Abel. He wants us as dead as the devil ever wanted anything of God's creation. Why? Because when God planted Adam and Eve here on this earth and gave them the earth, it was to displace Satan. And that's why he had to undermine and bring in sin into the world. Abel gave a proper sacrifice that was symbolic of what was to come at the cross with Christ. to give us an option to be saved from our sin, the consequences. God himself putting on flesh like we put on a coat, and then suffering in our place, taking the penalty of death upon himself and offering us life. This moment that we're in right now, this near-death experience moment that we're in as a nation, we get a chance to choose again life or death. You're the guys that are choosing life. And more people are showing up every day. The ones that believe the lies. I'm going to get the shot because my government told me to get a shot and I trust them. Why wouldn't I trust them? MK Ultra, 9/11, all the lies at Oklahoma City. Who's controlling the conversation here? Lies and lies and lies and lies. Well, but I'm going to get the shot because they told me to. Fauci knows what he's talking about, you know.
Arrest him.
Well, sometimes in code, we tell people, we might say one thing to bait the enemy in verbally and do a hand sign down here. Give you a little different message. Is 2020 over? No. You guys giving up in 2020? No. You'll never get an honest election again if you're going to wait for 2022 or 2024. That's why the president, the commander-in-chief, has been saying repeatedly, why not before? Okay, he hasn't given up. Yeah, we're coming. He says it under his breath, but he's not kidding. He hasn't lost his way. Neither have we. We understand what's going on here. We're at war, and there's codes. And you're the guys that were the early adopters to understand the code, what's at stake. And I know it's hard. I know everybody around you thinks you're the nuts. And you probably are. But you have to have hope. This was given to you so you would have hope. So you wouldn't lose your grip on reality. And reality is, I don't care if the person sees the president every week and is a friend and trying to give him the right counsel, like Job's friends. Oh, you ought to just wrap it up, kill yourself, curse God, call it over with, because he's got something against you. No. Job's friends didn't really help him much. We have a friend in heaven, God himself, and we have someone in the middle of the biggest war in the history of planet Earth. Think about this. The entire Earth is under the threat of the angel of death. These guys won't stop at 3 shots. It'll be a shot every 4 months, every 3 months, for years, until you're dead, dead, dead. Just like they've done it with messing our food up, just like they've done it messing up our financial system. Right? They're trying to create precedent. Look at all the ships off the coast. It's starting to have quite an impact. Spare parts, food. America's getting shut down. We're in a Red Sea moment. And in all of this time, as frustrating as it is, sometimes you have to hang on with some thread of hope. You have to have something to hang your hat on. Page 71, first edition of my book. Election 2020 will equal MAGA. Who are those guys? Make America Great Again! Who's going to make America great again? You guys? The misfits? The ones that everybody else rejected? The cornerstone, the chief cornerstone in the building of America is you guys. They can't do it without us. Those police officers that said, no, I'm not going to work if I get shot. Okay, well, you're not going to do it without us. The firefighters, who's showing up for the fire? Well, got to get shot. Guess I'm not going. I got a family. I'll be here next year when you guys burn it all down. The pilots, you won't get to work. The military, oh, Taiwan, yeah, gosh, that's going to be a son of a gun. We'll shut it down in our timing, not these globalist asses' timing. Other places in the world will follow our lead. We're in the biggest war in the history of planet Earth. Our kids and grandkids will either thank God that we lived or curse the day we were born and didn't protect them. These people want you to be slaves, and then they want you to die. That's their plan. It's as simple as that. It's the devil himself. He's been practicing the plan over and over and over for eons, but it's against God's will. And if all the people that go through the Red Sea with us still don't want to go into the promised land, do it God's way, they'll die out there in the desert, because most of the people did. The true believers went through. I'm going through. You guys are going through. If it's only us, make me a promise you won't give up, please. And I can tell you right now, not just President Trump, but Melania also, is 1,000% all in. They have not given up. They want you to believe the lie that he's given up on you. He's gone away. He's mental. He doesn't really know stuff that he thinks he knows. He was only just president of the United States. He doesn't really know anything. He's kind of half-baked. Who's telling you that? Some really half-baked people. Okay? The lunatics. Who are you going to believe? I can listen to Fauci, or I can listen to Trump. I can listen to Don Lemon, or I can listen to Trump. He never gave up, and he said, I'll never give up on you. In the movie The Called, at a younger age, President Trump said, someday I'd like to lose it all for a little while and see who my real friends are. He's giving you the chance to have the same experience. Do you know now who you can trust? In your family, the work around you, your neighbors. You're finding out who the real players are and who the fake are. Fair weather patriots. People under some three-letter agencies employ, oh yes, I'm really for, everybody work together. Hey, did you see what that guy did? He's got a gun in the basement. He teaches the Bible to his kids. He won't get the shot. Come on, man. Toughen up. That's what we have to tell our friends. And you know what? They are waking up. They're asking questions. In the Masonic way of doing things, which is a group that we're really in a battle with here, you have to ask to be invited in to join. They wait for you to ask. They put little cheese balls out there. Ooh, it's a good association. Ah, yeah, these guys always get the best jobs. And they're able to get little loans between each other, and they get a little secret handshake. How do I do that? The devil's got cheese on the string, and he's reeling you in. with his various little players. Come on, man. Seriously. Are you guys that naive? No, not us. But other people around us have been. But now the game has run its course in many ways. It's not over. But the first shot across the bow is very, very close now. Closer than most of you understand. The flip, the boomerang. But when the tide turns, a lot of people are confusing flip with flipped. It's not going to be over in an hour or a day. It's a process. You ever seen these huge rubrics of dominoes? And you'll see, and it goes, here it is, there it is, up here, and it's all down. And it goes, wait a second. When they're assembling those, you'll have teams out there. This team will do this group here. Another team will do this group over here. Another team will do this group over here. But just in case somebody screws up and a set gets knocked down, they won't put the connecting pieces in till the very last step. So they get this one all assembled, and this one, and that one, and it's all exotic. Each team has a different way of doing it, different methodology, different ideas. And then at the very end, okay, carefully set the last couple pieces in place. Okay, that's ready. That one's ready. That one's ready. This one's ready. One team might get done before another. And it's sitting there waiting. Why is nothing happening? Because that team's really efficient. They got it done faster. Or they got a more complex one over here and it's taking them longer. But when it's all in place, okay, everything's good to go. All of the country is keyed up. We're at 80+% in agreement. Something is wrong in Washington. The federal city is totally fucked up. It no longer is doing the people's business. It's acting unconstitutionally. It's doing somebody else's bidding. Who benefits when Washington is fucked up like this? And by the way, I use that word for a reason. The people out there listening to Jesus on the hillside. All of his beautiful oratory. So wonderful. And he says, woe unto you. In the vernacular of that day, they couldn't believe he said, whoa. What's that mean? It means you're fucked. If a people was overrun by an enemy, the young and defenseless, the women, the men were all killed or turned into slaves, neutered so they wouldn't have any other offspring. The enemy would have them. Genghis Khan, his troops, when they went to a place, they'd kill all the men and they'd rape the women until they were visibly pregnant, whatever their age, however long it took. And then they'd look at the baby to make sure that it looked like one of them. We see people all the time nowadays that, they're descendants of Genghis Khan or one of his clans. That was how they changed the nation. They got fucked. We lose this war, you're fucked! All of us are.
Not on my watch.
Amen, brother!
Juan O, Savin is a hottie.
Only when I keep the hat on. It's cooler when I have it off, but you know what? I say, woe unto you who have taken on God's people and tried to kill America. Woe unto you who are killing our children and know what you're doing. It's not an accident that that shot is killing children, young athletes, young fathers and mothers. Woe unto you. Do you know, Jim Caviezel and I were talking the other day. He told me something that was amazing. He had a near-death experience when he was on the cross filming the Passion of the Christ. And in the last scene. And the devil actually appeared to him. It was a very gripping thing. We've talked about it in detail. At the moment that God showed up to protect Jim, he said, as terrorized, as scared as he was of the devil, and it was very scary. The scariest thing he'd ever experienced in his whole life. What was even scarier was when God showed up over his shoulder, a just God, and shown himself against the evil that was trying to take Jim out. And God was so enraged, mad. Jim said he was the observer. And he said he felt what the enemy felt. He said you would run to hell, to the depths of hell, just to escape the justice of God. It was more scary, more gripping to be in the presence of a pissed off Father in heaven than it was to be scared of the devil himself. These people that came to destroy America are about to see not just American justice, but God's justice. A lot of people are thinking that justice is gone in America. How do you get to justice at the Justice Department? It's a captured operation. The administrative side of government, the policing, the Congress, the courts, captured operations. Who's going to bring justice in America? How do we get there? Do we have to have a civil war, break the country up, tear it to smithereens? Or are we in a modern era revolutionary war? What's the difference? A civil war is an internal fight. Peace, brother! Peace! What did that peace thing bring in America? Division. It's the devil. Same old signs all the time. Just rebranded. Peace. Okay? It's a broken cross. They want us to take on each other, kill each other, stop the country from working, shut it all down on their schedule, fall into some kind of civil chaos. A revolution is not a civil war. We fought a revolutionary war before, and it looks like maybe we're not done. Where did the dossier come from? Anybody know? What country? Excuse me, Queen. Hold on a second. Let me walk over here. Hold on.
The UK.
Where's Stephen Halper? England. Traitor, treasonous Stephen Halper, who helped concoct this. Papadopoulos. He was a victim of Stephen Halper, the unindicted co-conspirator from Iran-Contra, I would speculate. We don't know precisely what was going on. Why? Because Ali destroyed the records. The only thing he kept sending out with Fawn Hall and her boots and bra was the banking records. We're still in a banker's fight. All of those players that said it was Russia, Russia, Russia all along, who benefited? Who benefited? Who benefited? What was it all about? Brits want to dominate Europe, and they see Russia as a threat. Russia's now going the pipeline into Germany. Same thing when we had the Syria thing. Somebody wanted to run a pipeline across Syria to Europe to do the oil gas for the next 100,000 years or something, you know? Oil war. A bunch of people are trying to control America externally by getting leaders that will do their bidding in the highest office of the land, as well as all the down ballot ones. Their leaders telling you what to do, their pharaohs, their high priests, fooling you into it. But we had to let them have time to play their hand, to flesh it out all the way, to see all the alliances, and for all your friends that aren't thinking clearly like you guys are, have time to see it in their specific lanes. Some people are concerned about their retirement. They'll get a wake up shortly. Some people are only concerned about the schooling for their kids. They've already got a wake up. Some people are more concerned about whether or not their property taxes are higher, or whether they have to wear a mask in the store, or whether they have to get the shot in order to buy groceries. Everybody has a different thing that they seem to have gotten locked into. People key on things different ways, different times. But we're coming to consensus, coming to coherency. It's a very important word. The nation, the people, are becoming coherent in their angst against Washington, D.C., that federal city that thinks it's its own country and has aligned itself with globalists because it's a captured operation. Events are about to happen. Oh, I don't see anything. I don't think so. No! Events are about to happen. It will start out with a flip, and then another flip, and then another flip in one section of dominoes. Don't let anybody fool you. It will get this done, and then it'll get that done, and then it'll get this done. Winning, winning, winning! Winning! Get tired of winning. It's going to be so much winning. Flipped. This is not over. Buckle up, Buttercup. We're going to go to town on these guys, but we're not going to do it the way they do it. We're not going to do a lynching. We're going to have a court. And if the court of the peers isn't able to be assembled because of dramas, captured operation, can't even tell who's legally here, we have other courts. We just built a new courtroom in Gitmo. And there's so much evidence, we had to build a whole new evidence locker. $15 million! There's so much evidence. Oh no, if you can close down Gitmo, I'll believe you nothing's happening. Show me that nothing's happening and that we've lost by closing Gitmo. Prove to me that you're in charge by closing Gitmo. If you can't close Gitmo, you ain't in charge. Make America great again. That's the message. It's been there all through President Trump's term. Make America great again. Election 2020 equals mega to the third power, cubed over corn. In the first edition of my book, I told you about a dream that I had off the coast of Iran. And in that dream, that equation came to me. I saw it like neon. It was, I don't do this. I don't have those kind of events. It was shocking. And I saw other things at the time. It was amazing to me. And so I placed it in my book. I put it on every single page of my first edition of my book. Went to the printers end of July of 2020. Came out and was going to the public end of October 2020, just before the election. And every single page has a cube on it. An orange cube. Just like that! Dark to light. Bigger all the time. And by the way, do you see these squares? That's a cube too. You're looking at it from this side and this side. That's all cubes, just like I had in my book, including the winning color page of this blue with the orange cubes. The last message to America from our commander-in-chief wasn't the black dress leaving the White House. That was for the other guys. Oh, good morning. We've lost. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go hide. Come on, honey. Everybody was looking at the inauguration. Nobody was looking over here as they walked off the plane. It's a simple message. It's an important message. Don't give up hope. Don't give up on yourselves. Don't give up on your children. Don't give up on your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. There's a bright future for America. We're in a hell of a fight right now. It's the biggest fight in the history of planet Earth. They're killing off people all over the place. Well, why didn't we just go fix it the day of the election? Why didn't we just go do it? Because the fight is that big. There's so much at stake, and we didn't fully know who the good guys were and the bad guys were. A lot of it's taken a little time to wash out. In the meantime, there's some codes out there. Don't freaking listen. Sometimes there's things that are said a certain way to fool the other guy, but it shouldn't fool you. Use your own brain. Use your head. This is still about election 2020. We will hold their feet to the fire. And when we get it, last thing I want to tell you before I go. It won't be what a lot of people think it's going to be. Which is more important in a war? A war is external. If we're in a revolutionary war, our enemies are from outside the country. Some may have infiltrated to the inside. But the war isn't with our brothers. The war is with enemies external who have invaded, who have done a fifth column, who have captured many of the places in control. So, in this war, which would you rather have on your side? The policing troops or the military troops? Do you want an administrator of the business side of government or military? Commander-in-Chief, because you're at war. We are at war on multiple fronts. Dominoes here, but they intended for us to fall, not them. Dominoes there, but they intended for us to fall, not them. We're going to go take key dominoes out of their Rubik's Cube of dominoes, and when they try to push it, the devil had a plan. While the first messenger was still speaking, the next set of dominoes fell. And the next one, the devil's trying to hit the big red button on us. We're going to hit that big red fucking button on them. And we're going to take out a couple of key dominoes very soon. And it won't be just an attorney who represented him. A lot of people aren't going to believe that. That's fine. Let's just watch and see. It took a while to get here. Rome wasn't built in a day. And there's a lot of twists and bends in this thing. There's a lot at stake. If you have the whole history of your family for generations to come on the line, do you want somebody to go off half-cocked? Are you going to make sure that every possible angle you've thought of before you fire that shot, you think about your fire lanes and what's on the other side? Let's not take out one of our own. We've come this far. We can take a moment or two longer to get it right. Whatever the timing is, that's the timing. But I can guarantee you, the message hasn't changed. The real fight right now is 2020. Get the proper understanding of what was done in the fight against us. It's a revolutionary war. And when we come back, because the down ballot is so screwed up, we may not be able to sort that out completely, but we know whatever happened, that guy out there in DC, he doesn't know what actually happened. Somebody else is running him. He's somebody else's puppet. We're not going to abide by that. We're not going to be under that federal city's grip. And the upper strata of our defense as a country, the upper strata is known by a specific designation. This is my last few moments. What's that designation? Anybody in here know what that clearance is called? It's the Department of Energy clearance. Q! A lot of people are afraid to hear that letter. We want 25 letters in the English language now. We're going to go to the schools and we're going to change the 26 letters. We only want actually we don't even want a V for victory. We're gonna bring the alphabet down. We need to make it simpler. Some kids have a hard time with this. I want 8 letters in the alphabet. Okay? Fuck you with an exclamation point. That's the letters I want to give these guys. And I know some military ass that can deliver it. Folks, you're patient. I appreciate you taking a minute with me. Let's not give up on America. Let's not give up on President Trump. The message couldn't be clearer. January 20th, 2021. Dark to light. Make America great again. The message from the dream in my book was given to us back again. Let's own this thing. Let's own our planet. God gave Adam and his seed the earth and all that was in it. If something's fucked up, God's giving us the chance to get it sorted back out again with his help. Let's ask him for that help. Let me pray. Father God, I thank you for every single person here tonight and those that hear this message elsewhere. I thank you for their presence on the battlefield. I thank you for their depth of knowledge and understanding. I thank you for placing them exactly where they're needed as a domino to fall against the enemy's plots and plans and schemes against our country, our planet, your people. I pray that you would strengthen them in their resolve, strengthen them in their understanding of your will, protect them by the blood of our Savior who died in our place. bring us through this crisis, through this Red Sea moment, to praise you again. And take out our enemies who seek our destruction, who have sided with the devil himself. Take them out so we never see their faces again in this world. So we can do your will and bring the planet back under our control, under your supreme dominance and assistance. We ask you, God, please bless America. Bless every one of you here. I thank you for coming. Tomorrow night we have somebody coming, and I know you're going to be amazed. It's going to be an unbelievable message. Be there or be square. Thanks, folks.
Give it up for the one and only 107! Come on, guys! Keep it outside.
I'll take a few pictures. I've only got a few minutes, and I'm out of here, folks. Thank you.
When he says a few minutes, he means it. He's out.
All right.
But give it up again, you guys, for 107, please.